Paul Keursten, CEO of Workshop17. It's an honor to have you here in your own environment, Workshop17,
Cozy.
and in Sandton. And we at Heavy Chef have been utilizing your facilities now for over 2 years, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And so we thought it would be really great to have you on the show and just ask you a couple of questions about, well, first of all, about you, as well as Workshop17, the vision, what it is and what you're trying to do and where you're going.
Great.
So with that in mind, let's start with you and just get a little bit of the origin story. You know, who are you? And why do you speak with such a funny accent? And where the idea of Workshop17 came from.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a wonderful journey together, I must say. And it links really to what we are about. I'll come to that. Maybe my background is, and I speak funny like this because I'm Dutch. I'm a Dutchie in South Africa.
Okay, not from Venezuela, Uzbekistan.
No,
Okay.
just Dutch. The Dutch are back, hopefully in a different way than they were before. I come from a family of teachers, which is, and when you're young, you never want to be what your dad is, and then later on you end up doing what your parents do, but in a different shape. But it is meaningful because what I'm about and what I like to do is to create an environment where people can flourish, and you cannot flourish without learning. So I think flourishing is a big part of flourishing is actually advancing yourself, becoming better, and creating what you want to create. And that is what's always driven me from early on. I didn't become a teacher, I became an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Which my dad said, you have a good education, why do you make your life so difficult, Paul? You could have a wonderful job. But then he was proud of what I did.
He wasn't lying. Entrepreneurship is
but that's,
lying.
I think, I always say, I became an entrepreneur by accident because I loved what I do, and I just started doing it. And I said to people, if you think about what it all entails, you would never start. So don't try to overthink it, start following your passion, and then become an entrepreneur.
Gotcha.
What I started out to do is to set up a consulting firm which consults, but as a consultant your time and your reach then is limited. And Workshop17 for me is actually the next iteration of creating a learning environment. So instead of creating a course or leadership development for a company, can we create a physical environment where learning, innovation happens almost by accident? What does an environment look like where people be inspired, get input from other people, share their knowledge and create something of value for themselves and others? And that's really what sparked Workshop17.
Gotcha. Yeah. So how did that start in South Africa? I mean, because you obviously spent your formative years in Holland.
Yes. So what I try to do is every 5-6 years I get myself into trouble by just doing something completely different.
That's a great strategy.
Yeah, it's what we do with our consulting company. We change our structure every 5-6 years, just to not become into a routine. I'm passionate about innovation, so one thing about innovation is to break patterns, which you then must do for yourself. My consulting career was quite successful, but it creates lots of opportunity, but also lots of expectations. So you come into a new client, they know who you are, they know what to expect from you. And actually coming to South Africa had 2 reasons. One is there's lots of people who can't afford a consultant. They can't pay the money, but they still have dreams, talents, ambitions. What can I do with them? Which led to a small foundation, an NGO that I started. And the other part is what can I do in a country?
In Cape Town or Johannesburg?
That was in Johannesburg.
In Johannesburg.
And the other part was what can I do in a country and I start over when no one knows me, when my name means absolutely nothing and my company means nothing.
Cheapers.
And then I met via Jonathan Liebman, I met Mark in Maboneng, and he had the idea to create a Google-esque kind of space for techies. And I said, well, let's broaden that spectrum. Let's do techies, but let's do everyone who wants to create something meaningful and new. And that's how Open started, and it became Workshop17.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think it gives an idea also of the inclusivity at the heart and the DNA, which I've certainly experienced working with you, Paul. So, well, 2 questions actually I have. The first one is really, what's your view of the entrepreneur sector at the moment? You've got a unique perspective on it in terms of being so attached to, you know, all the various entrepreneurs in so many different spaces around the country. What's your feeling about the entrepreneur milieu at the moment?
I think it's a positive milieu for entrepreneurs. When we started in 2011, I felt that the landscape, if you look at the landscape in South Africa, what's in the media, what you see, it's highly political. And there's lots of people who do very meaningful work or entrepreneurs but don't have a platform. So I think there is so much, and that's the role we want to play. Can we become a platform for entrepreneurs so that what they do and the contribution becomes more visible and they get more support? The other thing is that it's maturing. In the beginning, or even until a few years, all the companies picked up entrepreneurship, the government picks up entrepreneurship, it leads to everyone doing their own program, their own space, their own label on top of it. And I think what we're moving into is actually not trying to house it in silos, but how can we connect the dots between the initiatives?
Okay.
And that's where we want to play a role.
And that's a great sign of a as you say, a maturing ecosystem, right? And so I think then the second question that I wanted to ask you in that light is, on this platform, or as part of this platform, what role does Workshop17 want to play moving forward as you're growing? I mean, you guys are growing like gangbusters at the moment.
Yeah, which is also part of getting into trouble if you grow that fast. But it's come from the same drive. I think if you want to have impact, you need to have scale. That's the one thing. The other thing is we want to have access points in various areas of South Africa, but also close to various socio-economic sectors. So that inclusivity means that you need to be close to and create entry points for the whole spectrum of South Africa. That's why we started in Maboneng. That's why we work with foundations in Diepsloot to create access points for entrepreneurs. That's one role we want to play. Create access points so entrepreneurs can extend their reach, get access to opportunities and ideas, and get access to value-added events like Heavy Chef is doing. So the reason that we not only a workspace but also an eventing space is actually to make learning happen, and also to extend the community. So we want to reach beyond our members, and we want to bring in people that are not necessarily needing an office to work for, but that come in for events, that come in for networking, which is the Heavy Chefs and the others bring in that community and then enrich our community with new people and new insights. And the third element of that is bring in the corporate sector. So I think there's, and we've already come quite a long way, there's a role to play to link corporates and entrepreneurs on a level playing field. When Mark and I speak about what we want to offer is a level playing field, where a CEO is treated the same way as a startup for the first time. They meet each other as just two people instead of trying to get to a corner office via lots of loopholes.
Sure. I mean, that's amazing. That in the survey that we recently did, the survey of entrepreneurs, we call those magical interactions, those rare interactions that wherein those little sparks happen, that the innovation occurs, right?
It is.
And so a last question for you, Paul, in terms of with this unique perspective and watching all these amazing individuals start and grow and scale their businesses and their ideas, taking them to fruition, what lessons have you taken personally out of this and potentially can impart to the viewers of this show?
Yeah. One lesson is there's no easy way. So and I think that's what you touched on in the beginning. It is when you choose it, it takes persistence and it takes creativity, but both in equal measures. So do something you're really passionate about, otherwise you won't keep up. If you do it for what's the quickest way to become rich, I don't think you will succeed. I think that's the one thing. The other thing is that you need to look at your finances from the beginning and creating governance and financial health from where you start. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs coming into our environment sometimes struggle with that in terms of going too fast ahead of your finances and managing your cash flow. Because your idea and your practice can be good, but if you don't manage your cash flow, you won't make it.
No, I hear you. I think that is an often misunderstood and underappreciated skill of entrepreneurs. We tend to be the kind of people that do break things, and we do it as habitually without really thinking of the consequences and bringing that accountability from the beginning. I mean, what if you're not sorry, this is a bonus question. But what if you're not that way inclined? What if you're a complete creative and you're not administratively minded? I mean, what advice would you have to somebody like me who breaks things regularly and he's not really an admin person?
Yeah, get someone to do it for you.
Yeah,
so when I started out my first business, we got an accountant, and he kept us straight. Which is so, and I think what it comes down to is the principle that I've learned from the beginning on learning: focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses, but make sure that you find other people around you that can actually almost compensate or be a lever for the stuff that you're not good at.
Yeah.
So people think entrepreneurs are loners, but it's not. The best entrepreneurs are good team players.
For sure.
They know what they're good at, and they choose to have someone that keeps them straight on the things that they're not good at.
Yeah, I think it's a foundational lesson for all entrepreneurs. Paul, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I know that you're a hell's busy guy, and we at Heavy Chef are really honored and privileged to be part of this journey with you. And long may the success continue.
Looking forward to that. Thanks, Fred.